Picture the sudden shock when you wake up deep in the middle of the pitch-black night. You slowly look out into your living room and suddenly notice an unknown stranger standing right there in the shadows. But this terrifying intruder is not trying to unplug your giant television to steal it. He is not breaking into your heavy metal wall safe and emptying out all your valuable possessions either. Instead, this person is just standing there quietly and methodically, pulling a single $20 bill right out of your leather wallet. After securing that cash, the very same stranger slowly walks over to your kitchen refrigerator and just casually takes a few dollars worth of your food. Following the raid on your kitchen, this mysterious guest sits down right at your personal computer and simply transfers $15 straight from your checking account over to his own balance. The most disturbing part is that this exact sequence of events does not just happen once, because he returns to do this every single solitary night. Experiencing this nightly invasion would leave you absolutely terrified for your personal safety, and you would naturally dial the local police right away. You would also start installing brand new security cameras everywhere outside your home, because you would definitely consider this ongoing situation a massive and immediate crisis. But right this very moment, in your actual financial life, this exact same crisis is currently happening to you. The real difference is that the thief breaking into your daily life is not some traditional burglar wearing a black ski mask. Instead, this threat is a long series of completely invisible and highly automated corporate charges that are intentionally obscure, which I personally call vampire costs. These specific sneaky expenses steadily drain your financial lifeblood away, very quietly in the background, without ever once triggering your natural pain receptors. You simply do not notice them at all because they are brilliantly designed to remain right beneath your daily threshold of attention. But once you finally aggregate all of them together, they are slowly bleeding the average household out of nearly $600 every single month. Before we dive completely into the entire anatomy of these sneaky vampire costs, I need you to pull up your current bank statement right this exact moment. I am completely serious about this, and I will patiently wait for you to do it. Take a very close look at your complete transaction history over the last 30 days. Now I want you to carefully scan through that document and find absolutely every single recurring charge and every monthly subscription that constantly hits your account. You must also locate every single automated payment that continuously drains your hard-earned money without you ever actively thinking about the transaction. And when I say this, I absolutely do not just mean your standard entertainment services, like your daily movie streaming platform or your favorite music application. I am specifically talking about that expensive monthly fitness gym membership that you have not even touched or thought about since last February. I am also talking about that extra digital cloud data storage upgrade that you completely forgot you ever intentionally enabled on your personal devices. Then there is that highly premium mobile application subscription that you originally signed up for during a quick free trial over 2 entire years ago. Do not forget about the auto-renewing insurance policy that you have never bothered to price shop, or those recurring monthly bank maintenance fees that you have just blindly accepted as a completely normal part of everyday adult life. Finally, you have those numerous video streaming services that you constantly rotate between, but somehow never actually get around to properly canceling alongside that expensive software subscription for a creative side hobby you completely abandoned a long time ago. I want you to carefully go through absolutely every single individual charge on that statement and meticulously add all of them up. I would confidently bet you any massive amount of money that the final calculated total is going to completely shock you to your core. When I personally sat down and forced myself to do this exact same financial exercise, I quickly found well over $400 in recurring monthly charges that I had completely and utterly forgotten all about. And let me be clear that these were definitely not charges for active services I was actually using and genuinely enjoying on a daily basis, because these were just phantom charges for things I had completely forgotten even existed in the first place. This was real hard-earned money that was just silently leaving my bank account every single month, while I constantly sat around and stressed out about not having enough leftover cash to invest in the market, or build up a proper emergency fund, or even just feel truly financially secure. And here is the specific realization that truly bothered me to my absolute core, because I am literally a professional personal finance guy. I constantly think about this exact type of money management all day long. And if I somehow had $400 in totally invisible expenses bleeding right out of my personal accounts, then I shudder to think what is currently happening to absolutely everyone else. My name is Kyle, and I personally spend way too much of my daily time actively auditing the incredibly sneaky dark patterns that massive corporations intentionally use to quietly separate you from your hard-earned money without you even realizing that the cash is actually gone. If you frequently feel like you earn a perfectly decent salary from your hard work, but your personal bank account balance just never actually seems to grow or make any meaningful progress, or if you have ever simply stared down at your monthly credit card statement and thought to yourself, wait, what exactly is that weird charge? Then you definitely need to make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a big thumbs up right now, because today we are finally going to shine a bright light directly on the hidden vampire economy. We are totally committed today to relentlessly hunting down all of that nasty subscription creep and those frustrating gray charges alongside those highly annoying convenience taxes and the massive digital data overages that are secretly keeping you completely broke month after month. We are quite literally going to perform a complete and highly aggressive financial exorcism directly on your personal monthly budget to finally banish all of these evil little monetary ghosts for good. To truly understand how this happens, you really need to look closely at the massive and incredibly fundamental structural shift that has radically taken place all across the entire economy over the course of the last 10 years. The entire modern consumer system completely moved far away from the classic model of actual physical ownership and fully transitioned into a new era of constant digital usership, and by doing so, it effectively moved your daily habits from highly conscious, intentional purchasing over into completely mindless, automated spending. Back in the old days, if you specifically wanted to buy a brand new movie, you physically drove to the retail store and literally took 20 paper dollars directly out of your own pocket to actually purchase the physical disc, and because of that friction, you genuinely felt the real psychological pain of making that physical transaction. Because of that direct physical pain, you genuinely made a highly conscious choice about your spending. But today, you simply sit on your couch and easily sign up for Netflix and Hulu and Disney Plus and Max and Peacock and Apple TV, all in just a few quick taps. All of that money immediately leaves your personal bank account completely automatically every single month, and because you never physically hand over the cash, you feel absolutely zero psychological pain from the entire transaction. This modern phenomenon is heavily known as frictionless spending, and it is essentially the ultimate holy grail for massive corporations, because they absolutely know that if they can just capture your credit card number one single time, they can basically tax you forever. These sneaky companies aggressively rely entirely on your inevitable subscription fatigue, because they fully know that you will completely forget to actually cancel the specific service right after the short free trial officially ends. They also know perfectly well that you will eventually be way too lazy and mentally drained to actually navigate through the 6 extremely frustrating digital screens that are purposely required just to successfully unsubscribe, because they are ultimately banking everything entirely on your absolute apathy. Let us firmly begin this deep financial dive by looking straight at the single most obvious financial vampire, which is the massive modern subscription stack. When asked directly, most average people confidently assume that they probably only spend roughly $50 every single month on all of their various digital subscriptions combined. However, detailed financial studies completely shatter that gentle illusion by proving that the actual documented average is well over $270 every single month. The primary reason for this massive financial discrepancy is simply the pure human tendency to easily forget things like the expensive physical gym membership that we have not actively visited in over 6 entire months. We continuously suffer from severe amnesia when it comes to that digital cloud storage upgrade and the daily meditation application alongside the premium news paywall, and the recurring razor blade delivery service, and even the expensive premium version of that lonely digital dating application. The main trick is that these specific individual financial charges are very frequently quite small amounts, like $9.99 or just $4.99. Because of that extremely low initial price tag when we physically scan down our monthly bank statement, Our human brain actively filters those tiny numbers out as meaningless background noise. But what we fail to easily realize is that just 10 separate recurring charges of $9.99 automatically equals roughly $100, which suddenly becomes a massive $1,200 over a single year. Then the truly terrifying part arrives, which is commonly known as stealthy price creep, where Netflix used to cost just $8, but now slowly costs $15 or even $20 because they quietly raise the total price by exactly $1 every single year. This entire corporate strategy is the exact real-life version of the famous boiling frog analogy, where you never actively jump right out of the dangerous pot, because the deadly water temperature simply rises incredibly slowly, so you just sit there and quietly get completely cooked. But you have to realize that all of these various digital subscriptions are really just the tiny visible tip of a massive financial iceberg. The truly deeper and much darker hidden vampires are actually what we call the sneaky gray charges, which are the completely invisible secondary fees attached directly to essential services that you actually use every single day. I want you to look very closely at your current monthly cell phone bill and carefully notice the random administrative fee or the mysterious regulatory recovery fee, because I promise you that these are definitely not official government taxes. These are simply entirely made-up phantom fees that giant telecom companies completely invent out of thin air to aggressively pad their corporate bottom line without ever officially raising the advertised price, so they publicly advertise a plan for $50. But your final bill magically becomes $78, and that missing $28 simply went straight to the hungry financial vampires. You can also see this clear abuse if you look closely at your home internet bill and notice that you are currently paying $15 every single month just to rent a basic modem over a period of 5 long years, which equals a staggering $900 for a cheap piece of plastic that you could easily buy outright online for just $80. And that specific scenario is a literal financial vampire happily feasting entirely on your complete lack of awareness. Following that specific drain, we then have the truly perverse economic concept deeply known as the official loyalty tax, which is a totally backward system where massive financial companies actively choose to severely punish their absolute oldest and most faithful returning customers. For a perfect real-life example, if you have actively remained directly with the exact same personal car insurance company for 5 consecutive years, then you are currently and almost certainly dramatically overpaying for your basic monthly coverage. These giant corporate entities absolutely know for a verified fact that you are a highly sticky consumer, and they are completely confident that you simply will not bother to switch your current provider, so they purposely and very slowly inch your monthly rates higher and higher year after consecutive year. Meanwhile, a completely brand new, unfamiliar customer who just easily signed up for their specific service literally yesterday is miraculously paying a massive 30% less total cash for the absolute exact same level of daily coverage. This exact predatory business model totally applies equally to your monthly home internet provider and your various insurance policies, and even your personal banking institution. Because in this modern economy, if you are highly loyal, you are genuinely the ultimate sucker who is actively subsidizing the expensive corporate acquisition costs for all of the brand new incoming customers. To successfully kill this specific financial loyalty vampire, you genuinely have to become absolutely ruthless and act completely like a highly aggressive financial mercenary. This strict mercenary approach actively requires you to go out and intensely shop your personal insurance rates around to other market competitors roughly every 2 entire years, without fail. You literally have to personally call your current dedicated service providers directly on the phone and completely aggressively threaten to leave their entire company for a cheaper competitor. I completely understand that going through this exact repetitive phone process is incredibly annoying, and it undeniably takes up quite a bit of your highly valuable personal time. But an agonizing 1-hour-long phone call to these corporate entities can actively save you a massive $500 every single year, which successfully translates into an absolutely astonishing $500 hourly working wage. Now we really need to sit down and seriously discuss the highly dangerous category of food vampires, which absolutely does not mean the regular everyday groceries that you physically buy at your local supermarket. I am very specifically talking entirely about the modern luxury delivery premium, which is an absolutely massive financial drain that completely exploded into a worldwide economic phenomenon in the post-2020 world. Imagine a perfectly normal evening where you simply want to order a basic hot burrito on your smartphone application, and the advertised digital menu price looks extremely reasonable at just $12. But then right before you pay, the sneaky digital application suddenly adds a mandatory service fee and a separate delivery fee, alongside a frustrating small order fee and the final expected driver tip. Suddenly, and almost magically, that highly reasonable $12 burrito instantly transforms into a massive $26 total bill, which essentially means that you just unknowingly paid an absolutely staggering 115% tax directly on your own simple lunch. And simply because this entire transaction quickly happens deep inside a digital application that uses your safely stored credit card information, the actual expense suddenly just feels exactly like fake play money that does not genuinely feel real at all. Just imagine if a polite waiter at a physical sit-down restaurant personally handed you a paper bill that included a massive 115% hidden surcharge, because you would naturally react with absolute fury and probably flip a table right over in pure anger. But because this massive upcharge is beautifully hidden directly on the smooth digital interface of that delivery application, you simply sit there completely calmly and just blindly click the glowing place order button without a second thought. If you fall into this specific digital trap and routinely do this exact same thing just 2 times a single week, that quickly adds up to roughly $150 every single month in what is purely and simply a highly expensive lazy tax. That massive monthly amount is literal physical cash that you actively paid to a giant corporation solely and entirely for the incredibly brief privilege of simply not putting your daily shoes on your own 2 feet to walk completely outside. Following the expensive luxury delivery fees, we absolutely must discuss the terrifying financial vampire known directly as highly unoptimized personal debt. Because if you are currently carrying a running balance on any single credit card, then you are literally bleeding massive amounts of expensive interest money every single day. But even if you are incredibly responsible and completely free from all heavy personal debt, you might still be actively leaking your hard-earned money without even realizing it, and you need to seriously figure out if you are routinely paying a standard monthly fee just to keep a basic checking account open. If you are currently banking at a massive traditional financial institution and physically paying them $12 entire dollars every single month purely for basic account maintenance, then you are actively being scammed, because there are literally hundreds of modern banking alternatives that happily offer completely free daily checking accounts. You also desperately need to figure out if you are currently paying a massive annual fee for a premium credit card solely for the luxurious perks that you do not actually ever use. And you might proudly say that you earn amazing travel points, but then you have to honestly admit that you absolutely did not travel anywhere at all this entire year. Because you stayed completely home for the entire calendar year, that simply means you essentially just paid a highly expensive $95 directly to a massive corporation just to carry around a totally useless heavy piece of shiny metal plastic in your back pocket. We absolutely must transition our complete focus and definitely mention the massive hidden problem of modern digital clutter. I highly encourage you to open up your personal smartphone right now and carefully scroll through your entire Apple or Google application subscription list. I would confidently bet you right now that if you actively look deep inside that specific digital menu, you will quickly find some bizarre application sitting right there that you did not even know actually existed on your device. You will very likely uncover a random, colorful mobile video game that a young kid completely accidentally downloaded onto your personal device while randomly playing around on a completely different afternoon. You will also probably stumble across an overly ambitious daily productivity application that you enthusiastically tried out for exactly 3 short days, way back in the distant year of 2023, before completely giving up on it. I personally refer to all of these specific hidden drains as terrifying zombie subscriptions, because even though these programs are completely dead to you, they are still actively eating your brain, or at the very least they are aggressively eating the cash right out of your wallet. You have to clearly realize that there are actually entire modern corporate startup companies out there whose absolute entire core business model is completely based on the simple, greedy hope that you will just completely forget to actively cancel your digital account. That exact sneaky reliance on simple human error is quite literally their primary financial revenue strategy, which simply means that your honest personal forgetfulness is exactly what creates their massive corporate profit margin. But moving completely past those sneaky digital technology companies, we absolutely have to talk about the single, most deeply insidious financial vampire of them all, which is heavily known as simple lifestyle friction. This highly specific type of financial drain is the exact extra money that you constantly spend on a daily basis entirely, because your daily personal life is just highly chaotic and totally unorganized. For a perfect daily example, this is exactly what happens when you unexpectedly get hit with highly expensive financial late fees purely because you completely forgot the specific calendar date that your regular monthly bill was actually due. This exactly includes those totally unnecessary checking account overdraft fees that unexpectedly happen purely because you simply failed to actively check your daily available bank balance before swiping your card. It also completely includes highly frustrating moments like running into a retail store just to buy a brand new umbrella while standing in the freezing pouring rain entirely because you completely lost your perfectly good old one somewhere else. It absolutely includes the highly familiar financial sting of actively paying an expensive premium for a quick afternoon lunch purely because you completely forgot to actually pack one before rushing out your front door early this morning. I personally and very officially refer to this entire stressful category of unorganized daily living as the highly expensive chaos tax. Because the absolute truth is that whenever your daily personal routine becomes highly chaotic, you naturally just start bleeding money constantly. Simply taking the time to fully organize your routine and actively automating your monthly bills and setting up daily digital reminders alongside having one very specific place for your physical house keys actually functions as a massive financial strategy because personal order is incredibly cheap while living in constant chaos is incredibly expensive. So exactly how do we permanently stake these financial vampires and finally reclaim that massive $600 every single month? Doing this correctly absolutely requires you to fully commit to a dedicated financial audit day where you specifically need to pick an open Saturday right off your calendar. You need to slowly start your morning routine by walking straight into your kitchen and physically pouring yourself an incredibly strong cup of hot black coffee to fully prepare your brain for the work ahead. Then you must actively use a physical machine to print out the last 3 entire months of both your personal bank statements and your monthly credit card statements, and yes, I am completely serious that you really do need to print them right out onto actual physical paper. You must physically lay all of those printed documents completely flat on a large table and aggressively grab a bright red pen so you can carefully go down the page line by single line and physically highlight absolutely every single recurring financial charge you can find. I promise that you will be absolutely shocked by this intense financial exercise because you will undoubtedly find active, ongoing charges for random things that you honestly thought you successfully canceled a very long time ago. As you deeply scan down the physical paper, you will also highly likely find extremely frustrating double charges, where a sneaky corporate billing system accidentally charged your personal account twice for the exact same monthly service. You will additionally find numerous historical prices for basic everyday services that slowly crept up and became much more expensive over time entirely, without you ever actually noticing the quiet and gradual monthly increase. Once you have fully identified absolutely all of these various financial leaks, you then immediately step up and actively execute the massive financial purge, and you absolutely must be entirely ruthless during this highly specific action phase. Your primary rule during this intense financial purge is that if you genuinely have not actively used a specific digital service in the last 30 entire days, then you must instantly kill it, and you must permanently cancel that video streaming service right now. You can absolutely always just sign right back up again at a much later date if you genuinely end up missing that specific entertainment program. But the massive spoiler alert here is that you completely will not miss it at all. You need to completely and immediately Cancel that expensive physical fitness gym membership that you actively do not ever go to, and you must swiftly downgrade that massive digital cloud storage plan back down to the free basic tier. You also need to personally call your current television cable company directly on the phone to firmly negotiate a much lower price, and then immediately call your auto insurance provider to actively shop around for a vastly better daily rate. I will fully admit that going through this entire manual cancellation process is incredibly painful and deeply boring, because it actively requires you to essentially spend countless long minutes just sitting there completely motionless while waiting patiently on endless corporate phone holds. But you desperately need to remember, right during that intense boredom, that you are quite literally earning a massive $600 every single month purely as a direct financial reward just for doing this highly specific cleaning work today. If it genuinely takes you 4 completely focused hours on a random Saturday to properly clean up your entire personal financial situation and aggressively secure that $600 of savings every single month, then that specific concentrated effort will beautifully translate into an absolutely staggering $7,200 kept directly inside your personal bank account over the entire course of a single year. That massive chunk of reclaimed cash is a literal and highly guaranteed return on your personal investment of time that completely and utterly beats any average performance on the traditional stock market. After that massive purge, you also desperately need to permanently switch back to highly conscious, active spending by immediately removing your saved credit card information entirely away from every single internet browser autofill system. You absolutely must firmly commit right now to completely deleting all of those highly dangerous luxury food delivery applications straight off your personal mobile phone for good. You must actively force your own hands to physically enter all 16 of those specific credit card numbers entirely manually every single time you want to purchase something online. The absolute ultimate goal here is to carefully add a massive amount of healthy physical friction right back into your daily financial system to purposely make it incredibly hard to just mindlessly spend your hard-earned cash. Because when you actually force yourself to physically stand up and slowly walk all the way across your entire living room space just to retrieve your physical leather wallet, you brilliantly give your complex human brain a very crucial moment of time to seriously stop and honestly ask itself if you genuinely really need this random item, and usually the honest final answer is simply no. Finally, you absolutely must set up a highly effective financial vampire trap, which is simply a completely separate bank checking account or a totally isolated prepaid debit card that is strictly used only for your approved digital subscriptions. You simply need to actively transfer exactly enough pure cash directly into that completely separate account just to successfully cover your absolute daily essentials. I am specifically talking entirely about the highly essential monthly programs like your favorite television streaming platform or your daily music application and your active physical fitness gym membership. If a brand new sneaky subscription charge aggressively tries to hit that specific debit card and there is absolutely no extra money left inside, then the digital transaction instantly and automatically declines. That specific greedy corporate service then magically gets canceled completely automatically, which means you literally never have to mentally remember to cancel it yourself because your entirely empty bank account actively does all the highly difficult work directly for you. This brilliant and highly isolated financial strategy acts exactly like an incredibly powerful digital firewall, directly protecting all of your primary hard-earned money from the dangerous outside world. We currently live in a global economy that is intentionally designed to bleed us completely dry by 1,000 tiny individual cuts. And while no single specific cut is ever fatal because it is just $10 here or $5 there, the absolute truth is that death by 1,000 cuts is still ultimately death. You are honestly working way too hard to simply let your personal wealth leak out through the dark cracks in your floorboards, so you must plug the holes and stake the vampires to finally reclaim your entire monthly cash flow. Because that massive amount of $600 every single month is definitely not just paper money, because it is actually your personal freedom and it is your real ability to quit that job you hate or make a down payment on a home because it is quite literally your life. You must stop feeding the corporate vampires and start feeding your own future. And if this specific video made you suddenly realize you were paying for a subscription you forgot about, then drop a comment down below with exactly what it was so we can shame the vampires together. Please share this video with a friend who constantly complains about being broke but still orders expensive delivery food every single night so you can save them from themselves. And thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the very next one.